So, a quick PSA before I begin. If you like what I have to say, then give me a subscribe on YouTube because unless I can get 1,000 or so subscribers, then this channel doesn't have basic functionality like being able to do live streams or being able to monetize videos. So, you have to have 1,000 subscribers or else your channel basically stays irrelevant. So, if you can help me out with that, I would appreciate it. Okay, so let's begin. Express.co.uk is a site that loves to straddle the lines and present controversial, like supernatural topics, and they don't have too much consistency about it. So one week they'll do a skeptic article, and then the next week they'll do an article talking about, for instance, UFOs are real. And the next week, scientists come out to say that UFOs are not real. And they do this about a lot of subjects, and they also like to do it about life after death. So making the rounds on Facebook today was a repeat of an article from last year on express.co.uk with the sensational headline, "There is no life after death. Scientists insist afterlife is impossible." And this came just a few months after an article also on express.co.uk that says, "Reincarnation is real as consciousness is contained in the universe after death." So as you can see that they go toward the sensational. They want to get people's hopes up, and then they want to drop them down, and then they want to get people's hopes back up, and whatever it takes to keep people clicking on their site and getting that precious ad revenue. Nonetheless, the articles are not so bad. Like the reincarnation article features a video by Jim Tucker, who's kind of gone off in the style of Ian Peterson, the famous reincarnation researcher from the University of Virginia. He's kind of his shall we say, his how do you say it? Like, I won't say protege, but the person who has followed in Ian Stevenson's path. So they look back again in the first article. So we're talking about there is no life after death, according to a guy named Sean Carroll. And interestingly, this article was written by Sean Martin, the same guy who wrote the reincarnation article. So he's kind of, I guess, presenting both sides. And so he's reporting on Sean Carroll. And so let's just get something out of the way. Sean Carroll is a materialist, and Carroll states this quite preposterous notion that the laws of physics underlying everyday life are completely understood and everything happens within realms of possibility. Okay, so I almost feel like this article is presenting information in such a way that I think a rational, critical-minded person is going to look at it and kind of snicker. Because saying the laws of physics underlying everyday life are completely understood, I believe, Dr. Carroll did state this, and it's an embarrassing thing to say. So even if you're among fellow materialist professors who don't believe in afterlife or supernatural topics or anything like that, to make a statement like this is not going to look good on your career, because many scientists throughout history have stated this, and then there would go on to be huge developments in scientific research, right? So people were saying this in the 1900s, before the discovery of nuclear fusion, before the discovery of DNA, before the integration of quantum physics, before there were computer chips and integrated circuits and things like that. People were saying that the laws of physics were completely understood. So arrogant professors of every generation always repeat the same idea. Consciousness at the very basic level is a series of atoms and electrons which essentially give us our mind. No, nobody knows what gives us our mind. We just know that the mind kind of comes out of the brain, because it seems like when we think, it's localized in this area, and that the brain affects consciousness levels, so thoughts must come from the brain area. But they call this the hard problem in science because it's the hard problem. Nobody has a straight answer about this. So basically, Carroll is just a materialist, and he's just repeating the same materialist tropes, which is that science has understood everything, and we're just composed of meat and matter, and therefore let's continue funding new atheism and continue supporting materialism, and continue buying books and products and ideas espoused by the people who are the priests of new atheism. That's really all the article's about. It's all Carol is saying, and it's a very easily debunked, rebutted argument. And to those who need a quick way to rebut this evidence, actually, again, as we can see by Sean Martin's article, I mean, he's presenting this with alternate explanations all over the article, right? So embedded on the article is a YouTube clip of journalist Leslie Kean discussing evidence of the afterlife. And Leslie Kean is a completely impartial journalist who has delved into the worlds of UFOs and life after death. And she, in a very independent way, arrived at the same conclusions that many, many other researchers arrive at, which is that there is something to this, that more likely than not there is an afterlife, and there's an abundance of evidence to support the afterlife. So interesting, yeah. So the author, Sean Martin, has embedded on his article with the sensational title, "There Is No Afterlife," a really great video that will rebut what the subject of the article, Sean Carroll, is claiming.
To want to probe deeper into the mystery of what actually happens, because it's...
To those people also who want a good argument against materialists who say there is no afterlife, just head to Victor Zamet's website. A lawyer presents the evidence of the afterlife. And basically, for a materialist to be able to substantiate the argument that there can be no afterlife, and that materialism is the truth, and that we're just our brains, and that our consciousness cannot go outside of our brains, they have to be able to account for over 38 different sub areas of evidence of the afterlife. So we'd be looking at modern physics and the afterlife, psychics, remote viewing, psychic detectives, exceptional human functioning, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, which is my area, end-of-life experiences, deathbed visions, after-death contacts, induced after-death contacts, guided after-death connections, psychomantiums, EVP research, instrumental transcommunication research, mental mediums, writing mediums, painting mediums, trance mediums, book and newspaper tests, the cross correspondences, physical mediums, the skull experiments, transfiguration mediumship, direct voice mediums, materialization mediums, spirit doctors, poltergeists, Ouija board research, possession incidences, ghosts, children who remember past lives, dreams of past lives, past life regressions, interlife regressions, pre-birth memories, discoveries in quantum physics that disprove materialism, quantum physics and its relation to paranormal incidences, experiences of oneness and unity consciousness, cosmology, and I would of course also add, did we mention psychic detectives? Yeah, psychic detectives, that was something else, which is the realm of so-called paranormal subjects or afterlife subjects being implemented by government institutions. In fact, there was another very interesting article I just saw yesterday, which I might do a different video about, involving the Dutch government implementing after-death contact and mediumship with their prison rehabilitation program. So, again, if you want to be a materialist, then you either have to account for all of that evidence, or you have to admit that you are just following your own biases and beliefs and prejudices, and it has nothing to do with objective evidence. So to look at the flip side article, again, this is express.co.uk, flip-flopping like a stack of pancakes. Sean Martin also wrote that reincarnation is real as consciousness is contained in the universe after death, and this is a great article that includes a embedded video by Sir Roger Penrose explaining theories of non-material based consciousness. And Penrose, Stuart Hameroff, these are some of the guys who are presenting a case that's very difficult for materialists to explain away. Now, I totally support the work of these people, although it doesn't necessarily provide as much light about what the afterlife is really like. To learn about the afterlife, you have to delve much deeper than just surface level theories about how non-materialism operates. We have to delve into direct spirit communication to learn about what really happens to us when we kick the bucket. So it's great research, great material, but it's also a bit limited. So hopefully that kind of clears up this goofy article that still makes the rounds, and it's a clever technique by express.co.uk because it's a hot button topic. People want answers, and most reasonable people want there to be an afterlife. And then when they see an article like this with a sensational headline that says there is no life after death, of course people click on it, people share it, people discuss it, people argue about it. And whether that's a sleazy tactic or not, I don't know. But at least it does get a conversation going, and at least express.co.uk, they present both sides of the argument, and they do in fact do a good job of this. Again, you can look at the research of Leslie Kean, she's an excellent researcher, and I encourage to take a look at her book, Surviving Death. And that's it. If you have any ideas about this, leave your comments below. What do you think about materialism? What do you think about these materialist arguments? And do these materialist arguments still hold sway? Do people still pay attention to them? How influential are they? Have they changed your opinions about the afterlife? Leave a comment below. Check out afterlifetopics.com or come say hi to us at the Facebook group Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, and I will see you on the next video.